mean, this was everything. This was such an emotional day. It's only been 6 months since call themselves his fire family, and they were here today not just for his memory, his name carved now into this memorial, or the memories of all of those wall here behind me, but we're also here to his family. "82 families know all too well this walk to the California Firefighters Memorial isn't one they ever wanted to make. Among the fallen firefighters honored Saturday night, Stockton's Max Fortuna, killed in the line of duty in January.
Max
Fortuna, killed in the line of duty in January.
Max
Fortuna, killed in the line of duty in January.
Max Fortuna, killed in the line of duty in January.
Max made the ultimate sacrifice. He went into a building thinking that he was, not knowing that he was going to be a victim of a violent crime. So, when we go on calls, it's the last thing we think of.
Fortuna's son accepted a flag in his father's honor.
Max Fortuna.
And we just think we're going to come home the next day, and on occasion they don't.
Fortuna's loss 6 months ago still fresh for the Stockton Fire Department. More than 50 of them lined the street to honor their friend and their fellow firefighters.
He taught us everything we knew, we need to know.
More than 1,400 names are carved into stone at the California Firefighters Memorial. It's hallowed ground, a place where their legacies will live on. Ask his fire family, and they'll tell you about Fortuna's.
He worked on one of the busiest fire engines in the city. Never complained, had plenty of opportunities to go work at slower firehouses, but he took a lot of pride in being on Engine 2.
While families circle the memorial to find their hero's name, some of Stockton's finest share their own stories of Fortuna with his family. One of them said he carries on Fortuna's legacy and works on the same engine in his spot.
There was nobody better than Max, and the Stockton Fire Department was so great because of Max. We all learned to do things Max's way.
Max's way, a standard now set in stone. Yeah, you see his name there again carved into this memorial that sits in Capitol Park. Now, of course, Fortuna's family did not want to speak to us today, but they did give the stamp of approval with smiles as we talked with some of Fortuna's co-workers, as you see there, his fire family, and shared memories of that. Of course, his family's so grateful that they were able to share that, and they say that's why they were here today, not just to remember those that are on this wall, Fortuna, of course, but to show support for every single family of someone that has lost someone whose name is on this wall.
Fortuna. He served the city for more than 20 years.
He tragically lost his life today after being shot and killed responding to a fire. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Madison Wade.
And I am Chris Thomas. Here's what we know. In just the last few hours, a suspect was arrested. 67-year-old Robert Somerville is now behind bars in connection to the shooting death of Captain Fortuna. He's now facing homicide and weapons charges. A gun was found at the scene.
According to Stockton Fire, a 911 call came in for a dumpster fire around 4:45 this morning. As firefighters were working to put it out, gunshots were heard. And a somber procession was led by Stockton police motorcycle officers today. They escorted a hearse carrying Fortuna's body from San Joaquin General Hospital. The Stockton Fire Chief calling today his worst nightmare. A very, very sad day for his department.
I ask you to keep Captain Fortuna's family and the Stockton Fire Department family in your thoughts and prayers during this difficult time.
The man accused of killing a Stockton fire captain made his first appearance in court today. Robert Somerville is the suspect in the death of Captain Max Fortuna. And tonight, the suspect's family is giving their side of the story to ABC 10's Kurt Rivera.
Dressed in a red jailhouse uniform, 67-year-old Robert Somerville stood to face 1 count of murder and 1 count of intentional discharge of a firearm causing great bodily harm.
You understand the charges?
Yes, sir.
Following the arraignment, his family defended him.
I've known him before he knew himself, and he's always been a kind, big-hearted, helpful guy. Definitely not a killer.
The charges all stem from the shooting death of Stockton Fire Captain Max Fortuna early Monday morning. Firefighters were called to the scene of a dumpster fire next to a building near downtown. Fortuna was entering the building when he was suddenly shot and killed.
I just want to know that my father is a good man. He's a great man. He's a community man.
Somerville's son says his father has designed and built food trucks for more than 10 years. But he says the business has been the victim of attempted break-ins in an area plagued by the homeless. He says his dad believed his property was being burglarized.
He thought that he was protecting himself, and he had a fear for his life. And he gave, from what we're saying, we can't be too sure about the facts since we weren't there, that he was operating in self-defense.
As to what the family believes was simply a terrible mistake, District Attorney Tori Verber-Salazar addressed that today.
In this case, based upon what I've seen so far, and we've been working on this nonstop, I'm comfortable with the charges we have.
Somerville remains in jail on no bail. He faces further arraignment later this month.
Now, the judge also addressed separate charges from a 2009 case in Manteca that included a DUI and other driving charges. Meanwhile, funeral services for Captain Fortuna are still pending.
Fire last week. The service at Banner Island Ballpark was closed to the public, but attended by first responders from across the state.
The family allowed the service to be live streamed as they said a final goodbye. As family filed into the front row, fellow firefighters carried in beloved Captain Max Fortuna for a hero's farewell.
Our dad was the best.
Fortuna's daughter, Samantha, spoke for the family. Her message, upbeat and strong, even in the toughest of times. Something she says she learned firsthand from her father.
Our dad was the best. People will say, oh, your dad was a great man, and oh, your dad was a good guy. I always correct them and say, no, he was the best.
Seats at the Stockton ballpark packed with first responders and police from across the state. Fellow Stockton firefighters called Fortuna a dedicated family man who is passionate about his job.
I loved going to a fire with Max.
Captain Ryan Hoskins worked with Fortuna for 10 years. The veteran fighting back tears as he said goodbye to his fallen friend.
Max wouldn't like that.
A slideshow capturing many of his big moments as a high school graduate alongside Becky, who would later become his wife, as a new dad and bravely battling fires. With hands clasped and heads bowed, the family braced for the ringing of the bell. a tradition marking the end of Fortuna's shift. The man accused of killing Fortuna was arraigned last week on murder and weapons-related charges. 67-year-old Robert Somerville remains behind bars in San.
The community of Stockton is preparing to pay final respects to Fire Captain Max Fortuna, who was shot and killed on the job. KCRA3's Kay Racine sat down with the fire chief and shares the legacy that Fortuna leaves behind as his colleagues are continuing to mourn. She joins us live now from Fire Station 2. Kay?
Edie, both the fire chief and the fire captain started their careers together. They became colleagues, friends, family, and the fire chief sits down with us to share his fondest memories of Fortuna and how he felt when he found out that Fortuna had died.
I would have been heartbroken for anybody on this job. And when I found out who it was, I just broke down and cried.
Around the table where Stockton firefighters gather.
His smile, it was addicting. He could get the whole table here to break out in laughter.
Stockton Fire Chief Rick Edwards shares his memories of Captain Max Fortuna.
We were hired with 6 other firefighters at the same exact time and went to the fire academy together.
A longtime colleague and friend.
If anything should happen, you know he's there. He has your back for you.
As we've reported, Captain Fortuna was shot and killed early Monday morning as he and his crews tried to put out a fire. Chief Edwards says the loss is immeasurable.
I wish I would have told him how much he meant to me, how much I cherished his friendship.
At the table, across from where Fortuna usually sat, Edwards says his team will remember the captain who made them smile, laugh, a leader who dedicated his life to protecting Stockton.
Our members will come back and they'll continue that healing process as we get back on the rigs and answer the call when the community needs us.
Captain Fortuna's funeral is set for Tuesday. The public is invited to take part of the procession. Live in Stockton, Kay Racine, KCRA 3 News.
And hopefully the department knows they certainly have the support of the community at a really tough time. Kay, thank you.